Well, this episode, we're going to be discussing work-life balance. That's definitely something that we have a hard time with in this business.
Yeah.
In sales jobs, I know we just got off sales. Any sales jobs, I think you always feel like you're not doing enough.
Yep.
And so it's hard to balance that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think this is something where Alfredo and I are pretty relatable in that, family is a big deal for us. And I think as you grow a business, I think the important thing of boundaries sounds so weird because it sounds like we're never going to tell somebody no, or I'm never going to be that guy that's going to reply and say, I'm sorry, I am with my family right now. We cannot talk. But I think it's important once you get to a certain spot. When I first started in the business and started here in Tulsa was, yes, let me do that right now. And I've learned that 6 o'clock text can be like, hey, that's great. Let me connect with you tomorrow. I'll get on that now and we'll connect you. That way I'm not, disrespecting my family's time. And
sure.
I'm still respecting that. I'm always going to respond and be really quick. But I think I think we're so as salespeople, insecure to kind of prioritize our time too. But people will respect your time when you respond. I think not responding is not a way to go. But
it just depends.
I think responding and communicating and taking control of the timeline, I think is important.
Yeah, if you don't respect your time, nobody else will.
Yeah, and I had to learn that. I mean, that was and it's a lot of it was, God bless my wife. She brought that to my attention. And that's what and that's what I love her for. I mean, that's something that she and I, through the last couple of years, have really done good a job about is communicating. So when I'm feeling pain at work from a schedule standpoint, I let her know, like, hey, man, today's a busy day, or hey, it's going to be a late day, or hey, this is what we're going to do. So that way we both have the same kind of expectation of what each day looks like. And she uses certain words about our kids sometimes and is like, hey, kids are being, what's today. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to be home at 5 o'clock today, and this is going to be a fun one. We're going to have to jump right in. And
sure.
I was talking, I did a deal this morning. I don't know if you watch any like church podcasts or anything, but there's a guy named Matt Chandler.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've never seen this one, if you guys are watching this, you guys definitely need to look at it. But he has a thing about getting home. Dads need to get home and need to go to bed tired. And it's not necessarily just saying, you go and work all day, but his big deal was at the end of the kind of the sermon or whatever it was at the end is that he gets home at the end of the day, kind of has a prayer before he goes in, and he's going to commit the same time to his family when he walks in the house as he committed to all of his people that he works with that day. And man, it's just Matt Chandler, it's I forget what I searched. It was literally just going home tired. Yeah. And man, that was such an eye opener for me. And I heard that probably at the end of 2017 when I was first starting the business.
And it made
here.
a difference.
And it's just a good, we're so intentional in our businesses that being intentional with the family thing, my family's going to last way longer than my business is going to. Yeah. And that's what's important for me.
A lot of it's about separation. I think a lot of, people like us in our business with our personality types, we look at it more as like a time thing, right? Mm-hmm. But what good does it do me to be at home? And I'm learning this a lot by feedback from my wife, sometimes solicited, sometimes not. But
that's okay.
Just kidding. It's all good.
Love you.
Love you.
XOXO.
But I'm learning, what does it matter that I'm home at 5 o'clock if my mind's not there and my heart's not there, right? And I've found myself doing that. I'll be at home and I'm worried about what I'm not doing at work. And I'm cheating on work with home and I'm cheating on home with work.
Yep.
So it's just important that you're present, that you're there, that you have that line of separation, because at the end of the day, we're not brain surgeons. If we don't answer that phone call right there and then, nobody's going to die. And we just have to remember that.
Yep.
We will do our best when we're there.
And I think the right people respect that too. And I think even with that, like my big thing is, like even here while we've been doing this, my biggest trick, and these phones, even if people that aren't in our business, control our lives so much now. But I have taken my vibrate off my phone.
Sure.
So when you take the vibrate off, like if I do a lunch meeting, a coffee meeting, or this where I don't need a distraction, or if I'm at home, if I put my phone down, I don't know if it's buzzing. If that buzzes, even if it's across the room, I'm like,
we're like conditioned.
Is that a prequel?
Yeah.
A new contract?
Yeah.
Should I check this? Should I look at it? So having that is kind of a good, that line of separation. Sometimes I'm real, intentional about like, man, if it's 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, I'll put it in my bedroom, because if it's in the kitchen, I'll get up to get some chips. I like chips. Chips are good. I'll look at my phone when I walk by it.
Yeah.
And, when you look at it and there's a bunch of stuff, then you get pulled in, then you're stuck. So the intentional thing, like, I like what you say that, like, you're cheating on your home with your work and you're cheating on your work with your home. Like, I've never thought about it that way. And that's that's true. And, depending on the age, like I think our kids' ages are similar. The good thing about kids, they'll call you out on that crap.
Yeah, for sure.
They'll be like, Daddy, you've been working all day. Stop working, get in, come play with us. And I think that's where I think they're such a blessing, is because they do it in their way that our wives probably won't do it quite as sweet. But that's such a good reminder. And, man, it's a good remember that anything you do for work, our families are why we do it. So if you're spending your whole life working and not enjoying the family, why are we doing it in the first place? So I think that's always something that I've been trying to be intentional about. I think you do a good job with it too. I mean, I think that's what we talked about a couple podcasts ago, is that you do a pretty good job of separating. Your grind's a little bit different. You've been able to manage your business with processes and all that I think that's huge.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you still have those days. I mean, just last night I got home and I'm an episode and a half into
Virgin River. I get it. I know. It's a great show, dude. It pulls you in.
I will not disclose what I was watching. But
Virgin River on Netflix is on season 3. We just talked about it.
But, and then I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, I'm at home. My kids are all here running around. I'm finding myself annoyed because they're loud. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm here for them.
Yeah.
Turned it off, go out in the backyard, start throwing the ball around with the whole family. I have 5 kids.
Yeah.
And I have to be super intentional of making each and every one of them feel like I'm there for them and with them, right? And so I take turns doing the date nights with the girls and the, maybe the golf outing with the boys.
Still super jealous of this.
Or both, or vice versa.
Yep.
I want to make sure they both feel like I'm giving them time, but there's no way I can do that if I'm not intentional. If I don't walk in that front door, like they are, like treat them like some of my top referral sources. This is a crazy one. Think about this. I find myself having such little tolerance for my family at home sometimes. Yet my referral sources and my business partners and all those people, everything's okay. I'm never upset with them. Oh, no, don't worry. It's okay. We'll figure out a way. But I get home and everything isn't exactly how I expected, and I have a poor attitude about it. And I got to change that.
Yeah, while you were talking about that, that's that exact scenario clicked in with me, is that, like, man, our top 5 people, we don't have any problem during the day to making sure that they feel like they're getting attention, that they feel like they're important, that they feel like they're important to us. And then you get home and it's like you have to teach yourself to do that. And I think that kind of sucks. I mean, that when you really rationalize that and put that out there verbally, to picture that, like, man, it's not hard for us to put that effort in at work. Like, that's what we're doing. And God bless all my referral partners, but I love my kids way more than I love you. And I'm sure it's really close. But like, that's, those are eye openers. Now, I had a big deal when we first moved to Tulsa, where I had a good buddy that went through a really rough divorce. Mm-hmm. And, the core of it was, the core of the excuse was because he was really, really into his work. And I called my regional manager at the time and literally cried. And it was like, hey, man, because my business had just started growing. At the time here, I was in the office by myself. So I was in a 4,000 square foot office by myself trying to do this thing and learn it on the run. Yeah. And, I started feeling pulled into stuff that was taking time away from my family. And I, like, on the phone, I cried and I was like, hey, I need to do well at this business. I need this to grow, but it's not worth a penny if I grow it and spend this time and I lose my kids or my wife. Like, I was gutted for the dude, and is the most intimate, like situation I've ever been somewhat attached to, because I was, verbally friends with him and, was going through it emotionally with him. That was a huge epiphany for me. And I think that's what's been that one moment, kind of like we talked in the other one about what was the one moment of eye-opening for a business. That was my eye-opening of what's important to me and why we're working so hard. And I mean, he gave me some good feedback. He probably got off that phone and was like, oh my God, what is wrong with this kid down in Oklahoma? He just cried on the phone. If I'm an emotional guy, get off my back. But that was big.
How often have we, you, me, anybody, justified working late or doing what we're doing or taking time away for our family because we're doing it for our family, right? Of course, we want to provide for our family. We want to create a good life for our family. But I guarantee you, I've crossed that line way too far where it really wasn't about providing for my family anymore, yet I use that as the excuse. And I think we have to be honest with ourselves. If we really are doing it for our family, wouldn't our family want us there with them instead of at work till 7:30 at night, just in time to get home to put people to bed and see them for 20 minutes? So I think that we have to be a little bit more honest with ourselves or what our motivations are and just reassess.
Yeah, and that's something that that I probably get in trouble from a coworker and a friend perspective is because my wife's at home. So what I and I make comments to get me in trouble. So like when you come home on sometimes where I'm not super helpful, and I have this, I'll even out myself here, and if this loses me any fans on the Facebooks or whatever, but my kind of jab comment is
this is a first stone situation.
Yes, I'll make a clocking out comment is what I like to make, and through me making this comment is that when we're at the office. My wife's working at home.
Sure.
And we love our kids, and not to sound like a brown noser on this, my wife was meant to be a mom. Like, that's what she does well. But, I mean, any of your kids, you can love them to death, but you spend 8 hours with them, and you need a break.
Yeah, for sure.
And, you can tell, and it was something that eats me when I am at work late, is it's a constant little deal in the back of my head that my wife's working late, too. She's not getting the clock out. I need to get home and let her, like... Our kind of comments is we both need to be able to clock out. So if we attack it together, not one of us is having to do it. And that's something that reminds me, I have to remind myself all the time. So like, I'm not the person, like I'm not winning business and I'm not getting referral partners being out on a Thursday at 6:00.
Yeah, for sure.
It's being done during the day, or it's being done with my family. Like I force people to be my friends. If we're going to hang out, we're going to hang out all together with our families because that's our time that we need.
Yeah, it's real important, I think, to set proper expectations. Mm-hmm. If I walk into my house, I have 5 kids, 10 and under.
I keep saying that. I'm like 5. I got 3.
5 kids, 10 and under. It's chaos at home, and I definitely take for granted all that my wife does.
Up.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's crazy. So think about it. If I go into my house expecting to see a clean house with all the dishes done,
don't you dare make a comment about it.
with clothes not all over the place, with Cheerios and Legos. And if I go in there expecting that stuff to not be there, what's going to happen every time?
Yeah.
I'm going to be disappointed, right? And nobody likes to have somebody come in and have that disappointed, disapproving face. And I have to prepare myself in that situation to have the right expectation.
Yeah, I just lost my train of thought. I had a good story there. We were just talking about that the other day.
About what?
I can't even, it was having to do with what you're talking about, but it was one of those where I was listening and I was ready for my turn, and then when it was my turn, it was like
I wasn't ready.
Completely forgot about it.
Yeah, for sure. So let me ask you this: so what would you say are 1 or 2 things that you do to be intentional about the time you put in at home?
I mean, it's I'll say the word fluid a lot of times. My intention, and it's something that my wife has to remind me of, is being away from the phone is a big deal. And she's really good about reminding me when I'm on my phone when we're at home. And a lot of my times too is you don't get a lot of me time during the day, just like my wife doesn't. But like when we're on work, it's not like I'm, surfing the internet in my office. Like, so having some of that kind of toned down time, I have to make sure that I'm intentional that my toned down time or my me time has to do with my kids. Sometimes when we get home, it's hot, especially right now. I don't want to go outside and play, but man, they want to ride the bike. We need to go out there.
Yeah.
And experiencing these times. I mean, our girls are getting big. Like my wife's been sending me pictures of, these time hop deals, and time goes so fast without sounding corny. But I think just making sure, like you're saying, that you're there, not just physically, but emotionally. And 5 kids.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, sure. You're definitely there with 5 kids for sure.
One thing I do that I've done in the past that I try to do, every once in a while is just sit down with my kids on the way to school, whatever, and be like, hey, what's one thing I can do to be a better dad? Mm-hmm. Ask that to your wife. Like, what's one thing I can help out with to be a better husband? Yep. And you'd be surprised. Sometimes it's gut wrenching, when you ask your kids that and they're like, man, if you wouldn't be as mad as often, that'd be great, Yeah.
And you're just like, oh. Yeah.
And you look back sometimes at how you handled situation or what mattered with you or what irritated you, and you just want to change it so bad, but you can change it moving forward.
Yep.
It's important to get an assessment every once in a while. We do it all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, we get, assessment all the time from people we work with.
Yeah. Do you give yourself 5 stars or 4 stars every day?
So it's good to hear from them and let them tell you, and that way you're addressing what they think is important, not what you think is important. Mm-hmm. I have plenty of things that I think are important, but I want to know what they think is important.
Yeah. And that's what's so fun, depending on the age. Like my girls are 5 and 7, and we have a almost 2-year-old that doesn't speak very much with that stuff. But I get some one-on-one time with them. My oldest Roy likes to go run errands with me. Vivian doesn't. She's a mama's girl.
Yeah.
But if we're doing anything with candy or ice cream, Vivi wants to go. Those talks are fun. And those are probably things that as dad I take really good. Like with my family growing up, we communicated really good. But me, I mostly had to pry it all out. So, I try, and I think having girls is different. I grew up as me and my brother, so it was a boy family. And I don't know if as much as I've always wanted a boy and I'm saving a tattoo spot for a boy, I think I was meant to be a girl dad, because I'm a
tattoo
softie.
are you going to get?
So I always wanted a lion. So I have the spot on the outside and I want a lion. And that's
is it going to have his birth date in there? Or
no,
something? His face on the lion?
Yeah, just a rampant lion. And because I have a handful of tattoos on my legs and they all kind of have a meaning.
But why do you
kids.
have to have a boy to get the lion tattoo?
Well, you don't, but the mane, I could do a girl lion, but they don't have a mane, and the mane's what I want on the tattoo. So
fair enough.
So I might end up getting a lion anyway, and just, I don't know, it might be a girl lion with a mane.
Okay. Cool. Well, I've always admired Tyler because I know that he puts his family up on a pedestal. It's very important to him. I know that he's a strong faith guy, which I admire that about him too. It's somebody that I've always seen eye to eye in those areas. And so I'm really excited to hear from him. And we always have chats about how we can improve our lives in that area. And I hope this was helpful for you guys, that it helps you at least take stock of where you're at in that area, because it's so easy to let time slip by and put all your heart and effort and mind into things that aren't the important things in your life. I think we have time for everything. What I've learned in my business is that I have plenty of time to grow my business. I have my lifetime to grow my business. I think the things that I don't have enough time for is my relationships.
Yeah.
It's my relationships. That's the only thing I should have urgency about. Yep. Everything else, 8 hours in a day is a whole heck of a lot of hours for me to do what I need to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. And, the old funny thing, 50% of life is just showing up, So being there is important. I think we had a conversation earlier that I was saying is that some people just want you there.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the most inconvenient thing.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's the easiest thing in the world to do. Like when people are going through sad stuff, you don't have to be there and say stuff. You just got to be there. So I think that's a big thing we can take away with the family stuff, with the business is just be there, and then you take it to the next level of being there physically and emotionally, I think.
Yeah, and back to the accountability thing, now that this podcast is out, we kind of have to do better.
Yeah, do better.
Yeah.
We don't need you to be the best. We just need you to be better.
Just do better, one thing.
It's one of my best sarcastic compliments. Like, I don't need you to be the best.
I can do difficult things.
I just need you to be better. Yeah. I just need you to be better. Don't be bitter, be better, as my dad always said.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's good. And then his other favorite is sometimes you get the elevator, sometimes you get the shaft. It's one of my favorites. I use that one a lot.
That was very motivating.
It's really good. Yeah, it's a really good one. Yeah. We had a lot of those.
Good. Well, right on, guys. Thanks for joining once again, and we hope to see you again soon.
Throw that pencil. Boom. Check you later.
See you later.